What is up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Crypto Marketing Podcast. I am Ty Smith, founder and CEO of Coinbound, the largest crypto and Web3 marketing agency. Today we are discussing everything you need to know about Twitter Spaces for Web3 marketing. So we are joined by someone from my team, Tom, from our Twitter team. He will be kind of walking us through everything you need to know about Twitter Spaces. What's up, Tom?
Hey, Todd, thanks for having me on, and I can't wait to discuss Twitter Spaces.
Let's do it. All right, let's start off with Twitter Space, like what it is. Like what kind of in a nutshell is Twitter Spaces?
Yeah, so Twitter Spaces is Twitter's version of Clubhouse. And for those who are unfamiliar with that, you have a bunch of speakers and a host, and then everyone else is listening. So the host will basically be talking about any topic they want. Could be a question and answer, could be an informational one, could be a casual conversation, and they invite up other speakers to contribute to what is going on. And the listeners are the third-party people just listening in, not really contributing, but they can send up emojis to give some feedback. In other words, it's kind of like a live recording of a podcast.
Got it. And is our Twitter Spaces important for Web3 marketing, in your opinion?
Yeah. So, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. And you're right. Like for Web3, for marketing, Twitter Spaces are absolutely great for brand awareness. The reason why is that it virtually is like a reading of a white paper or a question and answer rather than just like having to actually read it. It's like out loud speaking about ideas, your company, and that gives a good brand awareness that you're not going to get otherwise. And why it's so good for brand awareness is because for users, it pops up on the top of their screen on the Twitter feed. So it says this person's in a space. So every single person that follows that account will be able to see what space is going on. And this way it goes out to, if I hop in, all my followers see I'm in that space. So it gets a lot more eyes on your product than otherwise. So overall, it's one of the best brand awareness marketing tools to date.
And also because crypto lives basically on Twitter, it's such a great place to do like networking and just kind of reach out to other accounts on Twitter specifically.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, I kind of ran over that or missed that part before, but listeners have the option to raise their hand. So it's a great way to communicate with pages or other projects and be very collaborative. So it's not always just a one-way host to listener. The listener can come in, contribute, and get organic conversation about products going.
Very cool. So let's give listeners kind of our like go-to tips of how to successfully run a Web3 focused Twitter Spaces. So number one, in my opinion, is scheduling the space ahead of time. Can you kind of walk through what that looks like and sort of how people do that?
I totally agree. So scheduling a space is one of the most important things you can do. So basically you can make a space and do it ahead of time. So I kind of recommend going to the Spaces, which is actually the center button in the newest Twitter update. Click that, and you want to schedule about 24 to 48 hours ahead of time so all your followers have an idea that you're going to hop on this space. You can just go live, but I wouldn't recommend that. That scheduling feature really lets your audience see, oh, they're going to be on a space. And if you're going to have any co-hosts or speakers on later, they can retweet it, quote tweet it, like it, whatever, which also gives more promotional value to that schedule. So that's definitely step one, the most important thing. After you schedule it, you're going to have to come up with a name. And this is important. It only runs about 20 characters before it cuts off on the screen. So if you wrote like, oh, interview with Warren Buffett, it might just come up as interview with WA. And that doesn't give away that same feeling. So if you have a big name on the interview or a big project, make sure to start out that first so that the viewers can see, oh, wow, this person's going to have a huge Twitter Spaces coming up. Important name, scheduling, and also it's sometimes important to do it at a weekly schedule. So if you're going to host it very often, don't do it at Friday, 5 p.m., Monday, 7 p.m., Tuesday, 6 a.m., whatever. Make sure your viewers know, hey, guys, 10 a.m. tomorrow, I'll be back. And then keep that consistent schedule. Some of the best Twitter Spaces out there have a very rigid schedule, and they'll repeat it a few times during the space. So viewers know, or listeners do know, when I can hop in next. So those are the big three pillars right there. Know how to schedule, make it a good name, and make sure that it's on a good schedule for all your a good recording schedule for all the listeners to be aware of.
Yeah, and what I like about scheduling it also is that it lets you tweet when it's going to be, and then listeners or followers can just click a button that lets them set a reminder for it. So it actually like adds more notifications to people ahead of time, which is always important. Next step to successfully running like a NFT, crypto, Web3 Twitter Spaces is definitely going to be promoting it. Can we run through some tips that you've seen that you like regarding making sure that people actually find and participate in these spaces?
So yeah, once it's promoted or once it's published, the promotion is going to kick in. So that's going to basically mean you're going to have it on your feed. And if you're going to do it 24, 40 hours ahead, make sure you're going to retweet or quote tweet yourself saying, oh, hop in 12 hours or hop in later tonight. That's obviously going to give your audience a refresher. As I said, if there's any important people hopping on this Twitter space, whether that's a co-host, a friend of yours who's going to hop on, make sure they can retweet it so other people can see it. And that's pretty much half the battle, right? You're going to make it, you're going to schedule it, you're going to have all your content planned ahead of time, but people are going to have to know about it. And that's why we don't recommend going live right away. That's why we recommend the build up. And that 48-hour, build up time between schedule or posting it and then having me scheduled 40 hours ahead is when you work on promotions. As I said, retweeting it, quote tweeting it, having people who are going to sit in, make sure they retweet and quote tweet it as well.
Yeah, so those are some good options for promoting it on Twitter specifically. I would also go as far as to say, if you have a community on something like Discord or Telegram or any other social media platform, promote it there as well. Why not? If you have influencers for if you're working with influencers, it can be a good opportunity to invite them in or just have them tweet about it and just kind of, especially if it's like a Twitter Spaces that you're really providing value in and you want people to kind of like be introduced to your project through the spaces. Third point is probably the one that we get asked the most frequently, which is once you actually launch the Twitter Spaces, like how do you structure it? Because there's and you ask 10 people this and you get 10 different answers. But I think we've done a really good job of building out kind of like a process that works well for a lot of our clients. Can you walk through a little bit of like the common ways to, or more successful ways to structure spaces?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and as you said, you ask 10 different people and you're going to get 10 different answers. But one of the best and most strategic options is the AMA, the Ask Me Anything. Essentially, you have a host, and then you're going to invite up the person that you're interviewing. And then you're going to basically ask them all the important questions about their project. That could be from their white paper, could be about their community, could be about their website, could be about launch dates. And this way, it's a very informational session for the listeners to learn about this project. But it goes more than that. After the speaker and the host kind of get their conversation done, you can ask listeners to chime in and ask their own questions. So now you're getting crowdsourced questions, which come up more organically. They're going to be a little less structured, but you do a little interview session on your own, and then you kind of have people who are interested get their own questions and thoughts out. Ask Me Anything, they're good, or the AMAs are very good. But you can also go with casual conversations. So typically people do that. Influencers have their more important agenda-based Ask Me Anything or news report. They'll break down news of the day. And then sometimes there's a second session in the evening, and it's just not as planned, but it's very, this is what I read today. What do you guys feel about that? This is what's coming up. Oh, did you hear about the new Ape coin? Did you hear about this new project? And then that kind of keeps it going itself. So there's that free flow thing. What I feel like is better is once you're established in the space or in the Twitter space, that's something you could throw out there. But building your way up, you want a more structured AMA type content to go out to the viewers.
Yeah, I agree. You've been hosting some really solid weekly Twitter Spaces for NFT lately, one of our brands, for all things related to NFT news. Quick shout out to you and the team that's been working on that at NFT lately on Twitter. All right, let's wrap it up. I think this was super helpful information. If you found value in this episode, please remember to like, follow, subscribe, and join us on Twitter at coinbound.io. We're frequently hosting Twitter Spaces. You can kind of get a feel for how we like to do it as well as how we do it for our clients. Reach out to us, coinbound.io, if you need help setting this stuff up. And we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks, Tom.
Thank you very much, Ty.